You're listening to episode 133, A Hard of Hearing Child Becomes an Audiologist, with Dr. Michelle Hugh. Hello, my friends. I'm so happy that you're here today. We have a kind of fun and different episode for you. And the reason I say that is I'm interviewing a parent, but we are going to be talking about her experience as a child. So Doctor Who will tell us a little bit about how she came to find out that she had hearing loss, and it actually was not right as she was born. It wasn't until she was an older toddler, preschool age, and what the experience was like on her end and what she has learned from her parents and speaking with them and then becoming a parent herself. But anyway, she is so well spoken and has so many resources for families that have hard of hearing. And she has a website and a course and free downloads. And she even told me I did not have one of my features turned on Zoom, which we absolutely all need to have so that people who are hard of hearing can see the closed captions whenever speaking. So you actually have to go into your settings with Zoom. But you can go to her Instagram page, and it's mama.hu.hears, and she has a reel that will tell you exactly how to do it. Anyway, so I'm so excited that she's here today. They live in San Diego. She grew up in Ohio, but she's speaking to us not only as a pediatric audiologist and a parent, but also as someone who grew up with hearing loss and what that experience was like and what she is teaching parents now. So let's go ahead and get started with our conversation. And she had so many good one-liners, one in which I said needed to be a bumper sticker, but just her perspective on parenting as a child who grew up with hard of hearing and watching what her parents did and what worked. Anyway, I'm so excited to share this conversation with you. Okay, really quick before we jump into the conversation. If you are a child life specialist and you are certified and you like cool people and you like to get really affordable PDUs and you love to share information and resources because you don't want to reinvent the wheel, then you need to come join us in the Child Life Circle community. We are child life specialists who not only chat on forums and share information, but we get really cool webinars from community organizations and also access to PDUs. So it is $14.99 a month until the end of October. So come in and join us, be a founding member, get to know us. We hope to see you. You can visit childlifeoncall.com, click on Child Life Circle to learn more information, including a letter to give to your employer to see if they can pay for your memberships. So, okay, join us there and we hope to see you.
My name is Michelle. I am a pediatric audiologist. I've been an audiologist for over 12 years now, and I happen to be hard of hearing. I was diagnosed when I was about 3 or 4 years old in preschool. My teacher told my mom, "You might want to get Michelle's hearing checked because she's sneaking off during story time, reading a book on her own, or just kind of singing by herself, and we're just wondering how she's hearing." My mom was just floored. She was flabbergasted. She was like, "What do you mean? Michelle understands me in both English and Chinese. She's chatting away. If anything, my brother didn't talk much." So she was like, "Did they get the wrong kid? Like, what kid, which teacher spoke to me?" But it was me. I had a mild hearing loss and in both ears. And I got hearing aids pretty soon after that. My mom was looking at everything that she could at the time. There wasn't Google, it was just kind of word of mouth or the encyclopedia. And she was like, "Okay, our whole family needs to learn sign language." But at that time, the doctors that were like, "Listen, like, she has a lot of spoken language. You can give hearing aids a try. Potentially that could bring her right up to, or give her benefit and bring her up to normal hearing levels. And you can continue with spoken language." So at that point, my parents chose to go with that. We're learning sign language as a family now, because of access for communication. But I continued with spoken language. I did speech therapy, and all of this hurricane that was going around my parents, they were talking to the ENT. What is the cause of it? My mom felt guilty. She thought she was being punished for going back to work because I had just started school, and she's like, oh, cool. Now I have time to go back to work. And my mom grew up Catholic, and we are Chinese, our culture. So there's a lot of guilt there associated. What did I do during pregnancy? Did I do something? Did I not do something? And she was just kind of alone within her own family. I'm just a kid, happy-go-lucky. I don't know anything's wrong. My dad, I think, worked more hours, and I feel like they didn't communicate as well, but they were on the same page of, we're going to do anything and everything for her in whatever way, shape, or form that looked like. To the point where they actually begged my ENT, would you do exploratory surgery on her? Would you go inside and see what's going on? Because genetic testing back then wasn't very sophisticated. We know now what caused my hearing loss, and it was totally genetics. My mom couldn't have done anything or not done anything at the time. And they had me doing acupuncture. They had me drinking herbal Chinese medicine soups and all this stuff. We lived in Ohio. We went to New York, Chicago, Cleveland, getting all of these second opinions. And my mom said that I went up to her one day. She was crying. I asked her what's going on, what's wrong. And she said, I wish I could take your hearing loss for you. I get that now as a mother. But I also now have the mindset and knowledge of, the challenges that I had when I was younger only made me who I am now. So when I saw my mom crying in my, 3 or 4-year-old wisdom, I said, Mom, maybe this is how I'm supposed to be. And she said in that moment, my mom and dad stopped with the doctors. They realized I was the same Michelle that I was the day before my diagnosis, that I was after my diagnosis, that I was happy, that there really wasn't anything that I couldn't do with my life that I wanted to. Because she had been focusing on all the things that I couldn't do. She won't be able to hear the movies. She won't be able to read. They told her I wouldn't go beyond a 3rd grade reading level. She won't be able to get married, have a family. All of these thoughts that, and it's natural. It's totally natural when you're a first-time parent or a new parent to not be able to see what's possible. My kids are 4, 3, and 8 months, and I look at my other friends' kids who might be older. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're driving. Oh my gosh, they're going off to college, all of these things. And I can't imagine it for them yet, but I know if that's what they want, it'll be there. And as a parent, I'm just going to try to do as much as I can to provide them structure, to provide them support, to be able to create whatever life that they want to, that they can dream of. I know that now. I think I'm an older parent. My husband and I didn't meet until we were in our 30s. But we also have the ability to step back and realize they're not us. They're a mixture of us, and they get to live their own life. And as hard as that is, like, oh my gosh, no, you don't need me as much anymore. It's really cool to see who they've become, because I created a program for parents of deaf and hard of hearing children. And my inspiration was, my parents and me growing up. What did my mom need or not have, or what would have helped her or helped me when I was growing up? So I've been putting myself in my mother's shoes several times over the last, couple years that I've been working on this program. And I'm like, oh, wow, look at little Michelle. But wait a minute, look at me now. So it's this crazy, daydream that I get to have. And I get to play out scenarios like, could I have been more supported in this way? But I wasn't. But what did I do with it from there? So I'm really, my gosh, I really feel like I'm paying it forward with everything that I've lived and everything that I've experienced as a professional too. So my program, like, it really is like my heart in a basket for them.
And I'm sure it probably doesn't even feel like work to you. Like this is your
Mm-mm.
life's work. This is your calling. Like this
Mhm.
is what you were supposed to do. I have
Right.
so many questions for you. Just love to hear a little bit about you spoke to it a little bit. You were a happy go lucky kid as far as you were concerned. Like things were fine. You were doing what, when it came to you inside, you were able to do what you wanted to do. Um, I would love to hear a little bit more about that in terms of if you remember anything that your parents did do for you that really helped or really helped you feel seen, or maybe in your work now, what you see parents do that really make a difference for their kids. Can you talk
Um,
about that a little bit?
yeah, I feel like once my parents got over that hump of, she's not different than any other child, we wouldn't change any way that we treat her than we treat our son, my older brother. They treated me exactly like they did him. Get good grades, respect your elders, and be a good person. And because of that, I I think as a child I rose to those expectations because that was what it was expected of me. It's not like they were saying those things every single day, they were living it. So my brother was living it, so then I was living it. Um, Looking back, I don't think we ever really talked about my hearing loss. We did in times of when my hearing loss was progressive. So every time I bumped my head, my hearing would get worse. I would wake up, go to my parents' room, mommy, I can't hear. They would freak out, go to the doctors. We would have to investigate, program my hearing aids, or maybe get stronger hearing aids. But we never talked about the emotional parts of it, processing it for them, except maybe that conversation when I was 3 or 4. For me, I don't remember talking about I feel broken or I don't feel good enough. Those were mindsets that I lived my life through. Like I felt broken, I felt, not good enough, and I didn't get to process that until later in college. So I created, with the help of a life family marriage family therapist, questions in my program for co-parents to have with each other, to have with their children, to empower them, to teach them how to advocate for themselves. I think that I would have loved to have that piece during my experience, during my journey. But the flip side of that is because I didn't know any better. So I just went through life the only way I knew how. Everybody's winging it. Nobody knows how to do life. There's no step-by-step perfect way to do it. We have these ideas of that, but um so it just goes to say when you're parenting, you will do everything right and you will probably do everything wrong too. Your child will grow up and find something to thank you for and also find something to blame you for. It's just the way it is, right? I
Oh my
mean,
God, that's a bumper sticker for sure.
there's, and there's so much freedom in that because I realized I took on the variables in my life that my parents provided for me, and I did what I could. I did the best I could with the tools that I had, and so did they. And when I can take that responsibility on myself, it takes pressure off of them. And when I realize what I'm doing for them and for me, I'm doing it for myself and for my children too. 'Cause
Mm.
I'll see one of my daughters is a people pleaser, and I find myself saying, "I love you no matter what. You cut off 7 inches of your hair? Yes, I'm sorry I freaked out for 1 minute, and it's gonna be okay. Let's go to YouTube and see how we can cut your hair."
Yeah,
You know?
I love that.
Um, so it's this journey is so as much of it that is my own is also theirs.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
totally. Yeah, it makes complete sense. It really does. It reminds me of like this question that I've been asked, and that's like, what's your favorite part of being a parent and what's the hardest part? And I feel like the best parts is when you see your child excel, and the hardest part is when you see them kind of react in the ways that you hate about yourself reacting, and then you see your
Mhm.
kids do it. I mean, we're just all kind of on this path of self-discovery, and we just happen to be, way farther along and be their guides. But the fact
Totally.
that you've already started that with your kids is pretty amazing at 8 months, 3 and 4. That's amazing.
I'm an older parent and I think I'm an old soul. Um, yeah, it's crazy that our favorite parts are seeing them soar. And I almost think that we love it because we make it mean that we did a good job.
Mm,
But when they mess up, we make it mean that we didn't do a good job. But we did.
yeah.
Think
We
of
did
the
our
worst
best.
thing that you did as a kid. And are you going to blame your parents? Like, no, you think, ha ha, what a crazy kid I was.
Oh, that's so true,
I used to
Michelle.
put all my socks in the toilet because I thought the toilet was my personal washing machine because I saw my mom with a washing machine.
Right.
Was I being bad? No. Did I mess up plumbing? Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know. But if you turn it around, it's like, huh, I was just doing monkey see, monkey do because of mom. And I thought this was
Yeah.
I had a good idea, but
Well, I one of my other questions for you is, I kind of have a guess about how this ended up for you because you ended up becoming an audiologist. But what was your experience like with doctors, with invasive medical testing, with being a frequent flyer to your audiologist, your hearing doctor? What was that like for you as a kid, and how did it shape your decision to become an audiologist?
almost all of my audiologists were wonderful. My main pediatric audiologist, she stuck with me from the time I was 5 till college, and we're still family friends to this day. Um, I was afraid of my dentist because she yelled at me every time. But going to doctors, being in healthcare in the medical field in the clinics, I never had any fears or qualms about it. More of a curiosity. Um, I think growing up the way I did lent to my yearning to help others because I could see, oh, when there's something going on, you go to a doctor who's a resource and they can help you. Not necessarily to fix something, but a problem or a concern is a reason to go ask for help or a reason to go search for more information about it. And I see, my husband is one of those guys who's just like, nope, nothing's wrong with me. I can work through this. And even just like massage or, giving him vitamins or supplements, he's like, huh, it wasn't a problem before, but I feel better now that I don't know, take these vitamin D vitamins every day or um, take this extra supplement. And I think it's because I just want everyone to have and live optimally versus so. Anyone can go through life on autopilot, but with support, with a village, with information and resources so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Oh my gosh, you could just skyrocket out there. And that's why I made this program. It's like, here's all the information that worked and didn't work for me. How about you take it so you can just make that leap and start here instead of having to go through all of those situations that I may or may not have already. Here you go. There's cliff notes for a reason, books for dummies for a reason, not because you're dumb, not because you were lazy and you didn't do your homework or, go through that experience or research. How about we all help each other and win? I'm a few steps ahead of you. Here, take what I learned from those steps and go beyond where I went. Go reach whatever dream that you have with this information and experience, or don't take, just take what works for you.
Right.
And win. Like, go. We can all win. Winning doesn't mean that there's a loser.
Oh, I love that. Well, talk a little bit about your course and who is it intended for? How can people get it? What is the course like? Is it watching videos? Is it interactive? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, thank you. I created it after thousands of parents were literally asking me similar questions over and over again in my 12 years of practice, as well as online when I started a community. And I thought, how can I package this into something that is easily digestible, feels welcoming for them, and empowers them, doesn't make them feel like a dumb parent who doesn't know anything. So I created videos sharing my experiences, sharing my counseling, how I talk to patients and parents at work in the clinic, as well as a handbook. I don't know how, but in like a week, I made 125 pages of information and resources for parents to use along with the modules. I interviewed my ENT. I asked questions of, what is your appointment like? I interviewed a speech language pathologist, an auditory verbal therapist. I interviewed my mom because, like you said, for this podcast, experiences, not necessarily step-by-step information, just shared experiences, help people and parents along the way so much so they don't feel that they're alone, so they can take what worked for them and go along their own journey, because every journey is so individual, so unique, that there is no one size fits all on how to live. I also had patients of mine growing up, having kids of their own, and asking me, Michelle, how do you do this? How do you, wake up in the middle of the night when your babies cry? Does your hearing husband just tag you, or what do you do? I'm a military spouse, so he's gone a lot. I had to figure out, what can I do with 3 kids on my own, but I still want to get a good night's sleep, because I know if I don't sleep well, I'm a cranky mama. So yeah, I created the program. It's available online or on my Instagram, and the feedback I've gotten is wonderful. Parents feel like, wow, I feel like you gave me the ingredients to a recipe and I get to make this meal however I want it to be. Because a lot of times people think that healthcare professionals are going to tell them what to do and, not budge about it. But my job as an audiologist is to provide you with resources and information so that you guys can make the best decisions for your family. You know your child best. I might know protocols, I might know research and where to get information best, but who am I to tell you how to raise your family? That's yours. I want you to create and raise your family the way that you want to. If you want to ask me what I've done, sure, I'll share. If you want to ask me what I might recommend, absolutely. But I'm not going to tell you, do this, don't do that, because that's your choice to make. And I want to empower you. I want to have you not need for somebody else to tell you what to do. And that's almost like the transformation that parents go through when they become a parent. It's like, oh, wait, you're going to let me leave the hospital with this human being? Like, what do you mean? I'm used to parents or old elders or mentors telling me what to do. So that's a hard enough transition as is. Imagine going through life with a special needs child. And also having potentially a co-partner or a co-parent with you, and extended members of your family who they have your best interest, but they're not the ones in the driver's seat.
Right. So what, if people want to go to your website, what is your website so that they can get
My
your course?
website is Mama Who Hears. So my maiden name is Who, H-U, MAMAHUHEARS.com. That's my website. If you want to see specifics for the course, it's just that website /course. You can also find it on my Instagram, mama.who.hears. And I'm on there pretty often. And
Well, I will link
information there that you can learn from as well,
including something that Michelle taught me right before this call, that I need to go set up my live transcriptions for when I'm speaking on Zoom.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go do that.
You can use Microsoft Teams that automatically does it, as well as Google Meet. But Zoom, you just have to set up a few things in their settings on the actual web page, or you can use webcaptioner.com with your speaker on, which is what I'm using.
I love that. I have one last question for you, and then I'll let you go do all the amazing things you do every day. But if you could say that having hearing loss taught you one thing about yourself over your life that you're really proud of, what would that thing be?
Being hard of hearing taught me that there's a gift in every flaw a person might have. It took me a long time to realize, but as a kid, I would always find silver linings. Like I used a remote microphone FM system in school. It bothered me how I had to tell the teacher to wear it. I felt like a burden if it wasn't on, if it didn't work. Then after class, I had to go get it from them. And I had to wait till they answered somebody else's question to get it. And then I had to run to my locker, go to another room, right? But I also got to eavesdrop on conversations that teachers had with others. I got to use it as a one-way walkie-talkie with my friends as we were walking or, bike riding or, just playing hide and seek or something. So there's always a gift in whatever negative experience there might be. It just might take a while to see it.
I love that. Thank you so much. That is incredible, and makes me tear up and also laugh, which is like such a beautiful thing that you can offer through just who you are and speaking about what you've been through. So I'm so grateful that you were here, and I know you're going to help so many parents and also child life specialists who listen to this podcast and are helping families who are hard of hearing. So thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely, Katie. Thank you for having me, and I had a wonderful time talking with you.
Thank you for listening to the Child Life On Call podcast. I'm your host, Katie Taylor, and you can follow us at Child Life On Call on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please rate and review to make it easier for other families to find us. We have cute merch available at www.bonfire.com/store/Child Life On Call, and you can listen to more episodes and find resources at childlifepodcast.com.